The round of 12 is complete. The round of 8 is coming up. We got Martinsville, Texas, Phoenix/ISM, whatever you want to call it. And the top 4 drivers advance to Homestead, whether it be by win or points. So we're going to talk about each track, obviously, some of the best drivers there. I'm going to give you my picks, all that stuff. You're probably wondering, why are Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney on the thumbnail when it could be Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr.? We will get to that and why they could upset the field. So going into it, obviously, Gibbs guys, they're doing pretty well. Kyle Busch, obviously, the most playoff points. Hasn't won, but he's started to pick up speed recently. Had a really good run at Kansas. Got a top finish. I think he was in top 5 most of the race. I don't remember where he finished. But Martin Truex Jr. obviously won the first 2 playoff races. Racked up some playoff points there. And then Denny Hamlin, our most recent winner. So all 3 of those guys have over 35 playoff points. Kyle Busch with 36, Martin Truex Jr. with 32, and Denny Hamlin with 37. So they have a nice little cushion. While that we've seen that can be made up in one race. Kyle Busch is an 18-point gap, Truex with a 14-point gap, Hamlin with a 9-point gap. That could obviously be ruined in one race, but they are in the best position if they are to have a problem versus guys like Elliott, Larson, and Blaney. Logano and Harvick, only 2 points separate them. Logano 2 points above the cutoff line. Harvick 2 points below the cutoff line. Elliott sits 6 points back. And then Larson and Blaney 19 and 21 points back because they have the least amount of wins out of all the drivers this round and the least amount of playoff points by a good significant margin. That could hurt them down the stretch, and that's why I'm going to put them in the must-win category for all 3 races. Now, obviously, they could have really good runs. They could get the most points in each 3 races in advance. That is very possible, but compared to, they would have to outrun everyone. It's not like they're just one position behind. They are behind Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick for that final spot. And if someone does get into trouble, you got Kyle Busch that's 30 points ahead of you, and you're just too far behind in points. So I'm going to say that they can outrun them maybe if they have a bad round, but I'm going to say Larson and Blaney are in must-win situations, and we're going to talk about where they can win. Now, the first race is Martinsville. Martinsville, short track, things happen, tempers flare. We've seen it in the past. 2017, Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney and Kevin Harvick that same year. It wasn't really a fight, but, they made some contact. They had words post-race. It wasn't an aggressive thing or anything. 2015, Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano. Joey Logano remembers that one. So does all of NASCAR. So we've seen things happen at Martinsville. We've seen people get pushed out of the way. Even last year, Joey Logano and Martin Truex Jr. Some of the favorites going into it, Kyle Busch has won there recently. I think it was 2 years ago he won this race, and then he also won another one in the spring of 2016, I believe. So he knows how to get it done here. He has dominated this race in the past. He should be a favorite for this race. Martin Truex Jr., not really a short track guy. He got his first career short track win at Richmond this year, but he has had very good runs at Martinsville in the past couple years. Last year, obviously, took the lead with a lap to go, bumped out of the way by Logano. He was not thrilled by it. 2 years ago, had an opportunity to move Kyle Busch for the win, did not finish second in that race. So he has done much better recently in his recent time than he has in the past at Martinsville, so he could be a favorite. Denny Hamlin, I would say, is the favorite for this race. He's got momentum coming into this race. He's having the best year of his career, and he's won at Martinsville, but it's been a while. It's been 3 or 4 years since he's won at Martinsville, another 5 or 6 before that. So I'd say Denny Hamlin is the favorite coming into this race. He did win on a short track this year, a little bit of a faster short track. I'm going to make that statement, Bristol, but he did win at a short track. That's why I think he is the favorite at Martinsville. And the second favorite might surprise you a little bit. I'm going to go with Chase Elliott as the second favorite. Why, you may ask? You may see the Chase Elliott flag, the Chase Elliott hat, and think I'm biased. Well, that very well could be, but listen to this. Listen to me. Hear me out. So, in the spring, Brad Keselowski dominated that race, led over 400 laps, I think over 450 laps, and ended up winning that race. Well, who was the only guy who could really contend with him and pass him and almost beat him at the end? Chase Elliott. Elliott in the spring, if you remember, he led 40 or so laps in that race. He was the only one to lead more than one lap other than Keselowski. And at the end, the last 10 laps or so, Elliott found a groove that he could run in, and he found a line that his car liked and that he could pick up some time on Keselowski. And he was actually running down Brad Keselowski, who led over 400 laps that race. So Brad Keselowski, one of the most dominating performances, lap-led-wise, was being chased down by the second best car, or arguably the best car that day. So Elliott's history there, obviously you have that. 2017, he was in position to win. The beginning, his first year in his career, he didn't do great at Martinsville, but he has improved so much since then. 2017 spring, he got a top 5 in a stage win. 2017 fall, he was in the lead with 3 laps to go before being dumped. 2018 spring, pretty sure he got top 10. 2018 fall, got himself a nice top 10. And then obviously the spring had the second best car and was contending for a win. So if they can bring another really good car, and Hendrick's short track program has been pretty solid in the past, and now that Chase Elliott is the only Hendrick car remaining for that team, they might have a little more invested in the 9 team when it comes to winning, and their best equipment might go to the 9 team because they want him to win a championship. So I could definitely see Elliott being a favorite there. So I'd say the favorites for that race are going to go Hamlin, Elliott, Truex, and Kyle Busch. I'll put tied for third. Some guys that don't do too hot at Martinsville. Kyle Larson, that's never really been his track. Logano, obviously the defending winner. That's his only win at the track. And as for the other 2 guys, Harvick and Blaney, Harvick has won there in the past, and Blaney, he's actually run really well there in the past couple years. So they could very well run in this race. I expect them to run top 10 potentially in this race, but I don't see either of them winning. But Blaney, I would say, has a good shot. He ran really well in the spring there. And then obviously Harvick has a win in his history, and Stewart-Haas Racing, they got some speed every once in a while. On to Texas, 1.5-mile track. You got that new banking in turns 1 and 2. Completely different than other 1.5-mile tracks, and then 3 and 4 is the same. That race also produces some chaos and some, drama, some tension, as we saw with Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski, Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton. We saw Jimmy Johnson take away a championship 4 spot from Brad Keselowski in 2015. So we've seen a lot happen at Texas as well. I'd say the favorites for that race, the 1.5-mile tracks favor the Gibbs cars right now. I'd say, you got Hamlin winning at Kansas, dominating Kansas really. Truex with the Las Vegas win earlier in the playoffs. So I'd say they would be the favorites right now. Hamlin and Truex. Kyle Busch had a really good run at Kansas, so I'd say he's up there too. So those guys, their favorites. Harvick's been running pretty well recently at these tracks, so I'd put him up there. He's got potential to win at these tracks any week. He has won the last 2 Texas fall races, even though last year's was illegal. And I'm going to go with a dark horse favorite. I think Ryan Blaney, this is his shot to make the championship 4. Ryan Blaney in the spring was leading, had an engine blow. Last fall, he was technically the best car because Kevin Harvick did cheat, and his car was illegal. They took the win away. So Ryan Blaney, if they were in this year's system, he would have had the win. He was already out of the playoffs, so he wouldn't have made the championship 4, but he would have won that race. He had the second best car all day. So I think Ryan Blaney at Texas, that is his chance. He also won a couple stages in 2017 at the first ever race at the repave. He had a really good car there, if you remember that. He won the first 2 stages. Some pit road issues kind of held him back. He finished 12th or something. So I think Ryan Blaney, that is his shot at winning. Kyle Larson, he's had a couple good runs at Texas. He's also had some bad luck at Texas with tires and stuff, but he does have a runner-up finish, I think, in 2017, which is on this new configuration, so he could very well do well there. Chase Elliott, he started off his career really good at Texas. It's kind of fallen off a little bit. It's not like he's fallen off to like 20th or something, but, just top 10, outside top 10 versus when he was running in top 5. Harvick, as I said earlier, Logano has 1 Texas win. He runs pretty decent on these 1.5-miles. If you remember Las Vegas earlier this year, he won, and then the second Las Vegas he ran really well. So he could very well win this race. And then, as I said, for the Gibbs guys, on to the last one, ISM. ISM favorites, by far, Harvick and Kyle Busch. Those 2 are incredible there. Harvick, I think, has the all-time wins there. He's incredible. Absolutely incredible. And then Kyle Busch, obviously, has won the last 2 races there with the reconfiguration, with the start-finish line being on the little dog leg now, and everything being changed. So those 2 guys are going to be the favorites and probably competing for the win. Other guys to look out for: Hamlin, Truex, they're going to have speed. Elliott, he's run really good at ISM in the past. He ran really well there last year before crashing. Larson, I think he's got a good shot there. But everyone else, Logano has a win there. Blaney ran really well in the spring there. So it'll be interesting, but let's get to some predictions. Why don't we? My predictions for the championship 4. All right. Martinsville's going to be Martinsville. All right, we're going to see chaos. We're going to see crashes. We're going to see bumping, banging. We're going to see everything happening, everything chaotic happening, especially with the last 2 races, how dramatic and chaotic those got. That could very well happen here at Martinsville. Martinsville, I'm going to pick Denny Hamlin. I'm going to stick with my pre-playoff pick. I think Denny Hamlin wins this race, punches his ticket into the championship 4. I think he's run really well recently. He hasn't won at his home track in a while, or one of his home tracks. He's one of the Virginia tracks is his home track. But anyways, I think he wins here, locks it in early so they can focus more on his Homestead car. And then on to Texas. I'm going to go with an upset pick here. I was talking about earlier, Blaney had the best car last year in this race. I think he gets it done this year. I think Ryan Blaney is going to be in a must-win situation again in the middle race of the playoffs. I think he's going to have the best car. I think he's going to win this race. I'm not going to go out there and say he's going to dominate it, but I think he's just going to have the best car at the end there. I think Ryan Blaney wins it, gets to the championship 4. I'm not saying he's going to win the championship, but I think Texas is his best opportunity in this round to win and to get in. So I think Ryan Blaney wins this thing at Texas and gets into the championship 4 with Hamlin. And then on to Phoenix with Blaney winning. That would push the cutoff line back, obviously. So the points will be a little bit different. I think it would make some desperate situations for guys like Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson obviously being in a must-win, especially if Blaney wins. Maybe even Kevin Harvick, depending on how him and Logano run against each other. But with Hamlin and Blaney in on wins, I think Harvick wins ISM, bursts through that bubble. I think those 3 are in on wins. And then when it comes to points, Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch, it's going to come down to those 2. Logano's been too inconsistent recently to even catch up to them on points. Larson, same deal. He doesn't have the speed as those Gibbs guys, and Elliott doesn't have the speed for those Gibbs guys. He's going to have to win too. So I think it's going to come down to Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. And if you look at these 3 tracks, I think they favor Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch runs much better at Martinsville than Truex. He runs better at Texas than Truex, and he runs better at ISM than Truex. So I think Kyle Busch takes that 4th spot, and your 4 eliminated drivers will be Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson. Those 4 eliminated, and your championship 4 off of wins: Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick, and Kyle Busch in on points. That's a bold prediction, I know, that to put Ryan Blaney in. He just got his first win of the season. He's only been averaging 1 win a year ever since he got that one at Pocono in 2017. But I think this is the year he bursts through that 1-win bubble and gets himself a win. Biggest threat to burst the playoff drivers' hopes of a win in your end: Jimmie Johnson, Martinsville. Historically well there. Texas has the most all-time wins. I could very well see him winning there. He ran really good in the spring, won the pole, led over 60 laps, and finished in the top 5. So I could see Jimmie Johnson potentially upsetting someone. Keselowski maybe even at Martinsville after that run he had in the spring. Other than that, maybe someone else. I don't know. But that's my predictions for the round of 8. I'll give my... Oh, geez. That's loud. I'll give my championship 4 predictions when the time comes. There's like a what's it called? The raise, the lift things. And it's backing up, so it's beeping right now. So we're going to cut that video off here. We're 10 away from 400 subscribers, so make sure to subscribe to this video, to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share the channel.